I'm Greg Walton. I'm a singer, songwriter, and speaker. And I'd like to talk about my new song, Tune of Ignorance, and the inspiration behind it. Tune of Ignorance, like you say, the inspiration began when I was in college, and I began sponsoring a child in Rwanda. And it really put a face on the needs of others and poverty for me, because I got to correspond with this child, and he got to tell me what was going on. It was actually when the war and everything broke out. He was actually telling us, what was happening with his family, and it had a powerful impact on me, because I know I had a tendency, and I think all of us have this weakness, where we just kind of lump people into a general category outside of our immediate zone, and we don't realize that they're people with names and people with stories and people with needs. And so it really impressed upon me that we need to make a difference. I need to make a difference. And so that's the whole theme of the song is to wake up. The chorus is, when the world falls asleep, to the tune of ignorance. And I wanted to avoid being self-righteous with the song. I just didn't want to go say, this is what you're not doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I start with myself. I say, every morning I wake up and go running out my door, and I don't make a lot of time for those around me. And I think part of the reason that I do that, and that most of us do that, is because we take for granted our own potential as a people, and that we can actually make a difference. And it also, another important idea for the song for me is it also stems in my understanding of God too. There's a verse in the Bible that says that God is love, and all who live in love live in God. The greatest commandment that Jesus teaches is to love God and then to love your neighbor as yourself. So Jesus tells us there's a direct correlation between loving God and loving one another. So if I'm rejecting somebody else and neglecting them, then I'm neglecting God and rejecting God. Because if I'm really living in love, then I'm living in God. And if I'm not loving my neighbor, then I'm not loving God. Those two things are entwined so closely together, and that's one of the main motives behind Jesus and his teachings. So I wanted to have a song that really reminded me of that and reminded others to do the same.
Great.
There's a lot of things that we can do in our community. I think about the Vacation Bible School that my church did this past summer. We had maybe 60, 70 kids between the ages kindergarten up to 4th grade, and we wanted to raise some money for Smile Train, which is an organization that fixes cleft palates in children, particularly in the third world. And I thought, we'll see a couple $100 in the end of the week, because kids would come up and drop $1 or their loose change into this big water bottle that we had. When we got done at the end of the week, we had $1,000, that these kids had just dropped in momentarily. And I think that really says a lot to me, that we take for granted what the small things that we do, the impact that it has. I know that's probably one of Mother Teresa's mantras, was that the little things that we do are really play into the bigger picture and make a dynamic change when all of us commit to doing it together as a world. And the bridge of the song, focuses on wake up in the north, wake up in the east, wake up in the south. We need to wake up, because what we've done is we take for granted our own potential as people. And I take myself for granted and the differences that I can make. And we need to realize that it's just one small step at a time. It may mean, just volunteering, once a month, or even, if you can, more often at your local soup kitchen, or helping out with the local crisis pregnancy center, or rather than selling your clothes in the yard sale, give it to Goodwill. Small efforts like that when they build up over time, next thing we know, everybody's pitching in, and it's making a difference. My impact project for Tune of Ignorance is called the Bucket Bucket Program. And how that's going to work is, every time I do a concert, when I play Tune of Ignorance, we're going to pass a bucket around, and everybody's going to be encouraged to place $1 in that bucket. And then the proceeds that are raised in that bucket will be donated to local charity for that particular community's or for that particular community. Another way that we're also going to be doing is through our online downloads too, is donating to Mercy Corps and other relief and development organizations as well. Just so the song is actually living something out. You know, we're just not saying something with it, but we're actually doing something with it. I feel that's a real important aspect of what we're doing with Tune of Ignorance.
So wake up.
So wake up. Yeah.
When I get home, I put my feet into my bed, pull the sheets up to my chin, comfy pillow to my head. But I cannot sleep, I hear the streets crying in their dread. Yeah, I can hear them say, when the world falls asleep, when the world falls asleep, when we all fall asleep to the tune of ignorance, who will light the way? I've heard it said God is a lamp unto our feet, but he won't serve the purpose well until we step out in the street and spread our love to everyone we meet, and what we do more than in what we say. And as the world goes round the world, religions fight over who is in the wrong and who is in the right. Our children singing all our precious inner sight, while we look the other way. And the world falls asleep, and the world falls asleep, and we all fall asleep to the tune of ignorance. Who will light the way when the world falls asleep, when the world falls asleep, when we all fall asleep to the tune of ignorance. So wake up in the north, wake up in the south.